I'm here with 1099 Tax Pros. So kind of give you a quick rundown of our tax packet and how to fill it out. And if there's some questions or anything like that, hopefully this video can help you solve those questions and everything. And so we're going to kind of just jump right into it, where we're going to have this tax packet for you guys to fill out. We are expecting to send this out on January 13th. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions or anything, just please follow the video. We also thank you for choosing 1099 Tax Pros to do your tax services for you. And so to kind of start off with, right here we have the applicable year for tax year. It's going to default to 2022 because that's the tax season that we're in, but you could honestly change this to whatever year that you need the taxes done for. And so if you need 2021 taxes done, just go in there and type in 2021, 2020. It doesn't matter. It's going to change a couple of things. Like in 2021, there was like a stimulus package that was sent out, and so it's going to ask you about the stimulus checks and stuff like that. But so every year is going to have something different. And so, like in 2022, we're not going to have stimulus because there's no stimulus sent out for that year. And so, um, pretty quick. So it's just to let us know what year you need your taxes done. It's going to just default for 2022. Now, is this tax packet, it's going to be a personal only tax return. So that means is there any business returns that we need to prepare? Um, most of the time, it's most of our clients, they do have like an S corp set up, and then they also need their personal taxes return done. So this is going to default for a no because of the majority of our clients have an S corp set up. But if you're one of the cases that you only just need your personal return, you don't have a business set up or anything like that, you would just click yes in this instance. Um, and so going on to the next section, are you a current 1099 tax pro client? And so previous clients of COS tax accounting have been integrated into our system and are considered current 1099 tax pro clients. Um, so it's going to default to yes, but if you happen to not be a client of ours, it's going to pop up and ask you if you receive 1099. This is what we specialize in, is setting people up in an S corp and saving money on self-employment tax. And so if you like a free consultation and just see how you will like, if they see if that will work for you, you would just click on this link and it takes you to that. Now, this is now getting the instructions of our tax packet. And so first question is whether you want this whether you want this tax return to be expedited or not. Expedited just means that you're just going to be put in the front of the line to be prepared next. It's going to be $100 per tax return. So if you're doing a business, it's $100, and a personal $100, $200 total. So you just either click yes or no on this. If we recommend that if you could get your tax packet in before the deadlines, then you wouldn't have to. There's specific dates that we're going to send out. So if you need a tax packet done before a deadline, you need to submit your tax packet before our deadline, and we'll make sure it's prepared in time. But if you happen to miss that deadline and you need to get it expedited, this is probably your best option right here to make sure you get it in before the deadline. Second question is going to be, are you working with the lender to get a loan? This is most of our clients are going to be working with the lender and trying to get a specific AGI for their taxes and stuff. And so if you click yes, they're just going to ask you what is the lender actually asking for you on your 2022 tax return. And this is where you can just put in like, I need my AGI to show at least 100K for me to get approved for my loan, right? And so this is where you would put in the instructions of, hey, this is what I need for my loan for me to get approved for. This is what I need on my taxes for me to get approved for my loan. Now, this is another question. So if you happen to do a tax planning call with us during the third and fourth quarter of 2021, then you can put in your notes that from our tax planning call that we've had. And so you can either put that your spouse we talked about having your spouse be a shareholder, or that you wanted to bonus depreciate a certain vehicle that you just purchased, or just any notes that you might have, right? And so we could talk about like bonus depreciate the truck I purchased, and just spelling her right there, and then purchase too. And so, yeah, just let us know what strategies that we talked about during our tax plan call that you wanted us to actually use on your taxes. And so now we get into the specific information that we do need. So we need your name, right? And so I'm just going to type in my first name and my last name. And then my date of birth, I'm just going to put 01/01 of 1990. And then my phone number, I'm just going to put 123-456-7890. And then my email, and you could just use this email if you guys have any questions. It's info@1099taxpros.com. And then my social, I'm just going to put straight ones. Perfect. Now it's going to ask you for your address. So please read this little thing where it says, if you're receiving a tax refund in the form of a check, this is the address where it would be sent to. So make sure you put in an address there, that in case if you guys don't get direct deposit, if you guys choose not to get direct deposit your refund, then it will be sent to this address. So that being said, you just put in the address that you want to put it at. And so I'll just put 12 East 200 North in Orem, Utah 84057. Just a random address that I picked. And now you're going to have to attach your driver's license here. So you're just going to upload the image. If you can either take a picture of it and just upload it here, or you can scan it on your note settings if you have an iPhone. You can scan documents on your iPhone and upload it here to attach to your tax packet. So, sorry about that. Next step is going to be your marital status. And so it's going to ask whether you're single or married. If you choose married, it's going to pull up your spouse's information. I'm married to Kylie, and then her last name is the same as mine, and her phone number is the same as mine, but we're ending at a 9 instead of a 0. Her email, if you guys have any questions also, you guys always email taxes@1099taxpros for any questions about your taxes. Her social is going to be 11111112, and her date of birth is right after my birthday. And then I would also upload her driver's license. These licenses are required if you're going to be electronically filing, and so please make sure to upload that so at least a clear image so we can at least grab the driver's license number, the expiration date, and when it was issued, and certain information like that. And then it's going to ask if you have any children. I do have a child, and her name is Andy. And here's her last name, and she is female. And her social is going to be 111113. And she was born in 2020. So, pretty simple. You're just going to be filling out the information for your child, and then you're just going to ask if you're paying for any daycare. I'm going to say yes. I'm paying about $4,000 in daycare, and she is at Happy Smiles. And the address of that place is 34 West, 400 North in Orem, Utah, 84057. And then it's going to ask you whether, if it's a single person that's taking care of her, so like you hire a babysitter and you're paying her, then you would either put the social security number, or if it's the actual business, then you would put the EIN number. And so we need this information. If we can't get this information, we cannot claim that. We can't claim the actual expense. And so I'll just put random numbers here as a social. And then did she receive any care from other places? If you click yes, it's going to keep popping up. And yeah. And so if they're like the maximum that we have here on this tax packet is 2 daycare places. And so if we happen to have a third, you can put that in the notes section, just right here in additional notes. And so I'm going to click no, and then do I have another child to add? Yes. And the same situation with Andy before, we're just going to add in more information of our children that we have, right? And so, and then date of birth. Keep in mind that if you guys make sure this date of birth that is from anything before December 31st of 2022. If you guys put in children from 2023, we're not going to be able to include them in your taxes because we are filing for 2022 taxes, not for 2023. So we can't claim a dependent anyone who was born from January 1st, 2023 moving forward. and then this is another things. And so it's also going to ask like if you're having dependents too, and you can add this as a child, right? So for example, if you have a unique situation where you have a child with a disability, um, then you are taken care of. There's a certain tax code that if you have a child with a certain like with disabilities, um, that you can claim them as a dependent for the rest of their life. It's not as much as a child tax credit, but it is something. So you can still put that information, put it down as child. And then, yeah, and then there's also certain codes where like if you can get the child tax credit for anybody for 17 and younger, anyone from the ages from 18 to 24, you can still claim as a dependent, but they have to be a student. And so, yeah, if you guys have any questions about that, just email info or taxes at 10 at Tax Pros. So we move on from the children and we're going to go into the employment section. In the employment section, this is where you're going to be putting in the name of the companies that you're working with. So in this situation, I'm working with 1099 Tax Pros and I am receiving a W-2 from them. And I could just click W-2, or I could just click the drop down menu and just click W-2. Click tab, or you could just add employer. My wife works for Amazon and she's getting 1099. And I could just keep going on and just list all the places that you have income coming from 2022. And so she also happened to work for Facebook, right? And she had a W-2 from them. And so just list all the employers that you have and then also upload all the documents that you have, right? Attach 1099 or W-2. This is what a 1099 looks like. In case you guys have any questions. And so we're going to do a 1099 neck. And so this is what a 1099 looks like, right? Where it's going to have the name of the employer, your information, how much you receive, if there's anything withheld, and what state's been issued to. And so if you're going to be uploading a document, just make sure that it's the right document that we are looking for. And so this is what we're looking for in an instance where we're asking for a 1099. And then the same thing with the W-2. If you have any questions, this is the W-2. And this is what it looks like, where it has the employer information and then your information, how much wages, tips, and other compensation that you receive, any taxes withheld, what state's being issued, and how much is being withheld. And there's going to be certain codes in here too. And so those are the documents that you upload in this section right here. It's a 1099 and a W-2. Now, did you guys receive it in unemployment? You're gonna if you did receive it in unemployment, you're gonna have to attach a 1099G, and a 1099G looks like this, where it's gonna have 2022 in there, but it's also gonna have the state that you're receiving unemployment from, and then your information, how much unemployment, how much is being withheld, and all the other information that we need. So this is what a 1099G looks like. This is what we need attached in this little this section of the tax packet. Did you receive any Social Security benefits? If so, you're going to upload this 10 SSA 1099, and this is what a SSA 1099 looks like. Obviously, it's going to say 2022 up here, but then it's just going to have your name, how much benefits that you receive, if there's anything being repaid or anything like that, and then it's just going to have other deductions and stuff like that. And so this is what an SSA 1099. This is the document that it needs to look like for you to upload in this section right here. And then it's going to be asking most married couples. It's just going to ask whether you're being dependent or you're being claimed as a dependent or not. Most married couples are not, and so we just want to make sure you are talking to your family members, especially your parents who could potentially claim you as a dependent. And so will you be claimed as a dependent? You can either click yes or no, and the same thing going for your spouse, whether she's going to be claimed as a dependent or not. If you're married, chances are you're not being claimed, but it's always good to be sure. And ask your parents. And then it's going to ask whether you were outside of the U.S. for more than 6 months. It's just a question that's asked on your taxes, and so whether you were or not, just please answer that if you were outside of the U.S. for more than 6 months. And then it's going to ask you whether you want a direct deposit, and then if you click yes, it's just going to ask you to put in your routing number and your bank number. If you click no, then it's going to be a check deposit. Like a check is going to be sent to you, and it's going to be check. The check is going to be sent to this address that you put up here. And so either situation, if you guys are getting a refund, you guys have the option to either get a direct deposit or to get a check sent to you. Now it's going to ask whether you have health insurance throughout the year. If you did have health insurance that you do pay premiums and everything, so just make sure to click yes. And if you went through the health marketplace, this is what the health marketplace looks like. Healthcare.gov. If you guys happen to remember being on this website, filling out a form, then we're going to need a certain form from you from this health marketplace. So it's going to ask you, yes, I was through the health marketplace, and we're going to need this form 1095A. And so this is what the form 1095A looks like. We're obviously going to have 2022, but it's going to have the information, the name of the insurance that you had, when it started, who was on the insurance, and then how much were your premiums. The only reason why we're asking for this form is because there's certain tax credits that you're able to use throughout the year if you're going through the health marketplace, and so we need to make sure we're reporting those correctly. In fact, when we try to file your taxes and they find that your social security number has been attached to a 1095A, then it's going to reject your taxes until we get that 1095A form. So please just make sure if you guys did have any health insurance and you guys did go through the health marketplace to please upload this 1095A for us. We're going to be asking for it when we file your taxes because it won't let us file your taxes unless we get that form. Then it's going to ask if you had any out-of-pocket medical expenses. You can click yes or no. Let us know how much you paid for your out-of-pocket medical expenses. And then if you had health insurance that was not provided by employer. So this includes not a 1095A, right? And so how much did you pay on your health insurance premiums? It's just a private health insurance. Perfect. And if you have any comments or anything like that, just please leave them here. And then it's going to ask about your school, whether you can get the American Opportunity Tax credit or not. Or there's a learner's credit, just any school credit that you guys could potentially apply for. And so in this section right here, you're going to be asking, it's going to ask you whether you went to college during 2022, and you're going to click yes. If you have, did your spouse go to college? You can say no for that, or you can click yes. We're going to need both information if you guys both went to school. And then any dependents that you guys had that went to school for 2022, and whether you guys made any student loan payments or not. If you guys did you pay any student loans, you guys are able to itemize deduct the student loan interest payments, right? And so when you guys go up here and we need this form 1095AE, this is what it's going to look like. It has 2022 already there, and it's going to ask how much student loan interest you actually receive from the lender. Your name, it's going to have the name of the lender that you are working with to get their student loans paid, and then your information in here. And so and actually the student loan is actually above the AGI, so it's going to affect your AGI and lower that for you. And so upload that, and then it's going to ask about your education information, right? Since I clicked yes, I was in school. Were you at least in school for half of the time, at least a half-time student for at least one semester in 2022? You can click yes or no. Either way, it's going to be on your 1098T, but it's going to default as a yes. For most of the time, it is a yes. Did you have any scholarships? You could click yes or no. And you could tell us how much scholarships did you receive. This is scholarships, not Pell Grants, and so I received about a $2,000 scholarship at school, and I spent about $1,000 on books and supplies and equipment. This is like laptops or anything like that you bought for school, then you can include that as equipment for school. And then how many years have you been attending school? And this is my third year, and I'm going to upload a 1098T. 1098T is very important for us. We need this document so we can actually maximize your school credit. And so this is what the document looks like, where it's going to have the name of the school, their EIN, your information, how much was paid to tuition, how much scholarships you guys received. It's going to check whether you were a half-time student or not, and it's going to check if you're a graduate student. And so we need all this information when it comes to your submitting your tax packet. Please submit your 1098T if you guys happen to be in school. Please let it, like I said before, leave it in the comments if you guys have any right here. This comment section is going to be popping up throughout the whole tax packet. So if there's any comments for the section that you just filled out, just please let it be here. Or is there anything that you wanted to add or anything like that, just let us know. Then it's going to ask whether you did any stock trading, and so that's like Robinhood, Acorns, T American Trade, Bitcoin, and stuff like that. And so you have the options like yes or no. If you click yes, we're going to submit it. We're going to have ask you to please submit your 1099B, and that's just your stock, so we can know how much of a capital gain or loss you have. This is what it looks like. Um, Most of the time, you're going to be receiving a form like this from Robinhood, where it's going to show you all this information where you have dividends or any interest, and then how much were your stocks, what you sold them for, how much did you buy them for, whether you took a gain or a loss, and stuff like that. So this is the form we're most likely looking for, but if you happen to have like a 1099B like this, that's totally fine. Most of the time, you guys are going to have a form like this from either Robinhood, Acorns, or any other companies that you guys are working with. Now we have whether you guys have any interest income. So if you guys earn any interest more than $10, then you guys are going to receive this 1099 int. And so this is what the form looks like that we need you guys to submit. It looks like this, where it's going to have 1099 int, it's going to have 2022, and it's going to have the name of the company paying the interest and how much interest actually paid to you. And so um, please attach that 1099 int when you guys are submitting your tax packet. Next, we're going to have the HSA, whether you guys have a health savings account in 2022, put in how much you guys contribute to it. I contribute about $500 to it, and I can just leave that there, right? Did you guys do any retirement plans? Roth IRAs are not going to be tax deductible, not necessarily for us to identify. So if you guys have a Roth IRA, there's no need for you guys to include that. But if you guys have a traditional IRA, please let us know, or 401k or a SEP IRA. This is where you put in the information for those. And so, if anything, like whether it's for you or your spouse, just please input that information. Whether I did a traditional IRA and I contributed the maximum of $6,000. And so, that being said, if you guys have anything like that, just please and you can have multiple, right? And so just let us know if you have a 401k and stuff like that. We probably talked about it during tax planning call. And so, yeah, just input in the information that you have about retirement plans in this section right here. And then it's going to ask you whether you took any distributions out. If you did, you're going to have to submit a 1099-R form, and this is what the form looks like. Just right here, where it's going to have how much gross taxable amount it's going to be, whether it's total distribution or it's not taxable. It's not determined, and how many capital gains with any withholding and any withholding. This is what the form looks like. If you guys have any questions about the tax packet, just please, like, if we're asking for certain forms, Google search it and make sure it looks like the form that you have. Did you have any rollover? Same thing. You're going to have to attach a 1099-R. It's going to let us know whether you had a rollover or any distributions coming out of your retirement plan. Then it's going to ask if you had any charitable contributions, if you guys donated to a church or to anything that could be to organizations. There's certain organizations that are eligible for tax deductibles. You guys can just let us know that you donated to a certain church and how much you donated to that church. And then whether you did you donate to another nonprofit or anything like that. And so just put in your information of how much you donated to that certain organization. And then if you donated also any goods, it's the actual income. And so if you donated any goods, like Goodwill Salvation Army, this is where you would put in the name of the company, so like Goodwill, how much was the value of that donation, and then also, yeah, and if it's a certain amount, so if it's anything above $500, then it's going to ask you to please attach a receipt to it. And so, yeah, you should have a copy of a receipt from the actual organization that you did prepare or that you did donate to. And so anything below $500 or lower, it's not going to ask for a receipt, but anything above $500 is going to ask for one. Now it's going to ask whether you had a mortgage, and if you did have a mortgage, it's just going to have certain information like how much property taxes you paid on that. And then it's also going to ask for your 1098 mortgage interest statement. This is what the form looks like. And so It's super similar to all the other documents that we've been looking at, where it's going to have the name of the lenders, your name, when, how much interest you have paid throughout the year for 2022, how much is left on your mortgage, how much, when did the mortgage start, if you have any PMIs, any mortgage interest insurance premiums, and typically right here in the other top box 10, it's going to ask you, it's going to tell you how many property taxes you paid if you're going through the lender, or if you're just doing it privately, you just let us know right here how much you paid on property taxes. Did you sell the home? You can click yes here. We need the specific dates when you moved in and when you moved out. And then we also need your closing documents. Closing documents can look a little bit um, different depending on what mortgage or home sale closing documents, sorry, depending on the company that you're working with, right? And so some closing documents can look just like this, where it tells us when it was issued, when the closing date was, when it was settled, what property, who bought it, who sold it, and stuff like that. So this information is really good. Or same thing right here, it has the same information, um, and it also gives us like right here, sorry, this information like the title company that sends us. This is the address. This is when it's been dispersed. This is when it's closed, and then the closing costs right here. This is really good to have too, so we can know how much we can put down for your closing document, how much you spend on closing and selling your home. And then it's going to ask if you have more than one personal residence. You can click yes, and so you're going to ask you the same thing to upload a 1098. If no, just click no. And so, and then perfect. And then it's going to ask, did you sell this home? Same thing. We're going to ask for the closing documents. But moving on, we're going to go on to whether you had a solar panel installed or not. This year for 2022. With the Inflation Act, it went from 26% to 30%. So 30% of your installation costs can be taken as a tax deduction, or as a tax credit, not a deduction. Sorry. And this credit is not refundable. So if you guys happen to install like a $10,000 panel and you guys have $3,000 worth of a credit, and you only owed about $2,000 in taxes, it doesn't mean that you guys are getting $1,000 refunded. It's not a refundable credit. It just means that you have $1,000 that's going to be rolled over to the next year. And so I can click yes. How much did you spend? I spent about $10,000. And then it's going to ask, do you have anything being carried from the years before? If you do, um, and if you are a client of ours, we should have that information already, because we should already have your tax returns from last year. But if you're not a client of ours, we're going to need you to please upload your tax document from 2021, and so we can see how much is being carried over to this year for 2022. And so, solar credit, if anything, like if you have any questions or comments, please leave them here, or just email us at info or at taxes at 1099 Tax Pros. And then it's going to ask if you had any rental properties. You can click yes right here. It's going to ask what type of rental property you had, whether it's a single family, multi, Airbnb, short-term rental, whatever the situation might be. Put in the address of the rental property, right? Something 13 West, 200 North in Orem, Utah, 84757. And then, did you stay at this rental property during the time, right? And so, if I happen to live upstairs and I'm renting out my basement, a situation like that, yes, you would be living in there, and then you would probably have 50%, right? I'm assuming like it's just an even home where the same square footage is in the basement than there is in the top floor, and so you would need to figure out this percentage, right? And so figure out the percentage that you are staying in, and then divide that or figure out that percentage. So figure out the square footage that you're living in divided by the entire place, and that's the square footage that you guys are living in percentage wise. And so just let us know what percentage. How many days did you rent it out? I rented it out for the entire year. How many were you there for personal use? I was also there for the entire year because I lived there. Um, when did you purchase this property? I'm going to say I purchased it back in 2020. And this is super important for us to let us know, so we can depreciate the entire rental property value and stuff. And so there's a 27.5 year rental depreciation that we can take on it. And so the date is really important. How much did you purchase it for? I purchased it for $350K. Did you end up selling it? If you did, same situation with your when you sold your personal home, we're gonna be asking for your closing documents for that rental property. When it was sold, how much it was sold for. Do you have a mortgage? Yes, you're gonna be submitting the 1098, the 1098 mortgage interest statement, which is this form that we were looking at earlier. right here. It's just going to have your rental property right here on the address for line 8 and stuff. And so, um, perfect. And then it's going to ask you how much rental income that you had for the entire year, whether that's paid through Venmo or Zelle, or whether you actually receive like checks or whatever it might be. Just let us know how much you actually ended up receiving for the entire year. So I'm going to say I charge about $1,000 a month, and I received $12,000 for the entire year. Did you receive any 1099? It's normally issued by a management company, so if you guys hire a management company to run your rental property, you're going to be receiving 1099 from them to let them know how much income you actually did receive. And so you click yes, please attach that 1099 MISC. The 1099 MISC does look a little bit different from the 1099 NEC. And so this is what it looks like. Images. Where it's going to be kind of similar to like the 1098, where it's just going to have your rent, how much other income, federal taxes withheld, or anything like that. Next question is going to ask whether you had any remodeling done on your property. You're going to click yes if you had, like you remodeled a basement kitchen or something like that, right? So I did the basement kitchen for the rental property. When did you start the remodeling? I did that in the second day of 2022, and it cost me about $5,000 to remodel that kitchen downstairs. And then, did you have any other remodeling properties on that rental property, right? And so, make sure this remodeling is done specifically for the renter and not for personal use. If it is for personal use, we're not going to be able to use that as an expense. But going on, it's going to ask for rental expenses. So whether you paid anything for advertising or cleaning or maintenance, I spent about like $300 on my cleaning, so I could get this all prepared for my renters and stuff like that. Did you pay anything real estate commissions to get this rental property? Are you paying any insurance? Are you paying any legal professional fees, management, supplies, property, utilities, HOA, total repairs, and pest control? These are pretty straightforward. Just let us know how much you spent on those expenses so we can make sure we can allocate those. So that way you can take that expense on your actual tax return. And then you could put as many rental properties as you need to. So if you click yes, it's going to ask for the second property use information, stuff like that. And so it goes on and on. Now, this is where we kind of get into your business section of your tax packet. So whether you did door to door, or you just have a general business, or if you just didn't receive a 1099, you just need us to do a personal return and just strictly on W-2. If you didn't, you're gonna have the opportunity to skip this section and go straight into the end. But if you did do door to door, then most of our clients, I would say about 85% of our clients are doing door to door. This is the section that's what you would select in a general business. There's just going to be a couple other things that are going to be added on to it, right? So if you're doing door to door, you want to keep it up and running, or if you want to shut it down, just let us know whether you want to keep the S corp running or your LLC, or shut it down. If you have multiple businesses, just click yes and just let us know which tax packet, the tax packet that you're filling out right now, which business is this one for, right? And then you can attach the other businesses' income and expenses on the here, and so that way we don't have to have you fill out another tax packet for that second business that you're trying to get a tax return for. And then it's going to ask if there's any address changes within the business. So if the business changed any addresses, please let us know. And so even if you've already filled a business address form with us, please just make sure to click yes and put in the address. And if you're wanting to change it, or if you wanted to move the address, you can click yes. We're going to send you a form after we're done with your tax return to make sure it's done correctly with your state and make sure we're moving the address correctly. And so put in the new address. And then it's going to ask if you had a home office. If you click yes, then it's going to ask whether you rent or own. And so I could put that I own, and my home office square footage is 100 square feet, and the entire place is 1,000 square feet. So I get about a 10% of the whatever my home place is, my home personal property. I get 10% that I could write off of like expenses, so like rent and stuff like that. And so like I could put how many months were you actually in the home office for at least 15 days. I'm gonna say I was there for the entire year. So you can use a simplified method where it's just $500. Where in this situation, a simplified you can deduct $5 per square foot up to 300 square feet, and this deduction is maxed out at 1,500. Or you could go through the regular method, and we can actually put in how much you pay in mortgage interest. I could say I paid about $1,200, and I paid about $3,000 in real estate taxes, and my utilities for the entire year, I spent about $900. And then homeowners insurance, I probably spent $1,500, and it comes up with the home office deduction for 66, for $660. And so you could choose either way if you want to do the simplified method or if you just want to do the regular method. Just let us know which option you were picking, and then it's going to come up with that calculations for us. Then it's going to go into the business expenses. This is pretty straightforward. So advertising expense, like any expenses that you spend for advertising, whether it's flyers, business cards, or anything like that, you put that right here. Accounting expenses. And so what did you pay for COS, or what did you pay for other than COS? So what did you pay for 1099 tax pros? We're going to already include what you paid to us as a 1099 tax pros. And we're going to include that as accounting fees, but anything that has not been paid to us, like, and you had like any other accounting expense, so like you have a QuickBooks subscription and it keeps track of all your expenses, then you would put that in the accounting expenses right here. Any discounts that you give into any of the clients or anything like that when you're setting them up, you would put them right here. Equipment discounts, cell phone bill, how much you're paying for the cell phone. Make sure that this is for the entire year, not just what you're looking for. You're paying your months, and so there's going to be instructions here on the side. If you have any questions, how many did you spend on hotels? How much was paid on their rent, but it was working outside of the state. So if you're selling door to door, but you're selling in the state that you're currently living in, you can't write that expense off. But if you're selling outside of the state and you're there for a couple months, you could write that expense, even if it were reimbursed to you by rent bonus. Utilities, how much did you spend on utilities, but it also has to be out of state for business purposes. If you did home office, it's already included in the top section. Tools and equipment, how much did you spend on iPads, computers, segways, phones, and other stuff. Uniforms, how much did you spend on uniforms, so shoes, pants, shoes to knock in, shirts, pants, shoes to knock in, and stuff like that. Hats, recruiting expenses, how much did you spend on recruiting to get other people to come sell with you, whether that's a sign-on bonus or taking them out for incentives or anything like that. And then flights, car rentals, office expenses, paper, ink, toilet paper, soap, anything that can be used in the home office by yourself or others. How much you can pay in gas. So if you were carpooling every single day and you had to pitch in for gas, let us know how much you pitched in. Referrals or incentives, how much did you pay for referrals, like for your clients, or paying cancellation fees or anything like that. Specifically for customers. Continuing education, this does not include university tuition. We want to make sure that's understood. This is just for like seminars, professional trainings, mentorship, licensing, or anything like that. How much did you spend on rideshare, like Uber and Lyft? How much did you spend on permits for you to knock in a certain like in a certain location, you have to have a certain license. And then how much did you pay for contractors or reps? And then if you did pay someone over $600, it's gonna ask you, did you issue them a 1099? You can click yes or no. Were you required to issue them a 1099? Then yes or no, right? But if you paid someone over $600, technically in the eyes of the eyes of the IRS, you're supposed to hand them a 1099 NHC. Perfect. And then it's going to ask you meals. How much did you spend on meals during work hours, and how much did you spend on meals on recruiting? So this does not include groceries. If you made lunch, this only counts in meals that you spend at restaurants during work hours. Now, this other section is about recruiting. So how much did you spend on bringing on new recruiting or clients? And so this is just you going out to eat, and this is for you to actually do business and recruiting people. Then it's going to ask you if you had a vehicle. You can click yes. And if you did have a vehicle, did you sell that vehicle that was to be depreciated? If you're not sure if your vehicle was being depreciated or not, you can click yes and just put in this information. If we ended up taking the mileage, then we can disregard this. But it's better to be safe and just fill this information out, that if you did have a vehicle that was depreciated, we want to make sure that if we have to recapture any depreciation left on that vehicle if you're selling it. And so you would put in the when it was purchased, when it was sold, the year, the make, and the model, and then how much it was sold for, right? And then we're also going to ask you for your previous tax return. If you're with us as a client, then we'll have a tax year return. If previous tax year, so we'll have your 2021 taxes. If you're new to us, we're going to need a copy of that so we can make sure we're doing everything correctly and not raising any red flags. And then it's going to ask you if you purchase a new vehicle, right? And so I purchased a new vehicle and I bought it for cash, and I purchased it for this day. It started to be uh, in business use on this day. Typically, it's the same day. And then the year, make, and model of the vehicle doesn't weigh over 6,000 pounds or have a 6 foot bed. Questions were really important if you wanted to bonus depreciate. So bonus depreciation is when you can take the entire value of the vehicle and depreciate it for that 1 year. Or if it doesn't, then the maximum you can take is 19,200 for depreciation. Either way, when we're preparing your taxes, we're going to make the determination whether we're going to depreciate this vehicle or if we're going to take the mileage deduction, the miles driven, and this whichever one is more beneficial to you in your situation. We're going to go with that situation. Just know that if you have taken miles before on the same vehicle, then you have to keep taking miles on that vehicle. You can't switch back and forth for mileage and depreciation. Or if you've taken depreciation, same thing. If you've taken depreciation in the years before, you can't um, switch over to mileage or not. And so just make sure to fill out this information. So how much the vehicle costs, including sales tax, and then how much did you pay on parking, how much did you pay in gas, repairs, and maintenance, so like oil changes and stuff like that. Or if you're driving an electric vehicle, just let us know how much you, instead of paying for gas, how much did you pay for charging and stuff like that. And so, and then did you spend anything on insurance for the vehicle? How much did you spend? And then you can add multiple vehicles if you're wanting to. So now that we're at the end, we're going to ask you about certain questions. So this is where, like, if you were to do 2021's or 2020's tax return, this is where it's going to pop up if you received your stimulus checks or not. That way you can recover those. But in 2022, we don't have any stimulus, so it's not going to be included. But it's going to ask you whether you were a first-time home buyer, credit your payment due. And so if you don't know, you can just go to this website and see if you have an account. Um, Determine whether you do have like that home first time buyer credit account and you're gonna have to make repayments on it. Have you been divorced? You can click yes or no. If you're receiving alimony, then that will help you lower your AGI. Um, or if you're paying alimony or if you're receiving alimony, just let us know. And then it's going to ask you, do you have any K1s from businesses whose tax returns we are not preparing? So if you have any K1s from any businesses that you have a partnership or any uh, shareholder or any equity in, you're going to receive a K1 at the end of the year. Please attach that K1 in here. If you're not sure what a K1 looks like, this is what the form looks like, where it's going to have the name of the company and how much your percentage is, if you're a limited or a general partner, how much income you have on your end, and then or any incomes and stuff like that. It's just going to have everything for us. So this is what a K1 looks like. And if you do have any, just please attach them right here. Now, this question right here is going to ask if you had any estimated income tax payments. So this is when you are paying taxes you're paying taxes ahead of time, um, just so you can make sure you're not paying like a penalty or anything like that. Just this is right here. It says this is not your quarterly payments for your business that we help prepare. So these are not your quarterlies or your organizers that you're paying for payroll taxes. This is taxes that you prepay for your taxes for coming into 2022. You're paid with the 1040 ES vouchers. This is what those vouchers look like that we gave you on years before. This is what the voucher looks like. And so on years before taxes returns, 2021, we're going to give you those vouchers that you can make a prepayment for. So um, if you did have any prepayments, just click yes. It's going to ask you how much you pay for federal, how much you pay for state, and please include the itemized list of the payments and basically the receipts of when those paid and everything. And so please upload that. And then if you have any other tax documents that you weren't able to attach anywhere else, you click yes, right? And so if you had multiple 1095As, right? So for like the um, health insurance through the marketplace, I think we only have one slot that you can pull it. So if you have multiple of these, you would include that here, or any other documents that you could think of, just include them here. This is our comments. So last chance to give us any comments or any questions that you have, and then it's gonna let you know how much what our pricing is. And so most of our people are doing a business return and a personal return. So if you're doing both, you get a $50 discount. So typically it would be at $625, but we'll charge you $575 for our service. Business returns $450, partnerships are $800, and each additional partner after three, it's going to be $100. And then Schedule C's, personal returns, and then all the additional things that we need to do that take up a little bit more time. So, like any rental properties, any K1s, cost segregations, home sales, stocks, and crypto, and stuff like that, assets depreciation, the solar credit. There's an electric vehicle credit that we also have to apply. So, if you do have an electric vehicle, it's not going to have information for that at the tax packet. But if you do have an electric vehicle by any chance, please leave the information about the electric vehicle in here. We're going to be asking for like the VIN number, how many watts per hour, or battery percentage watts it has, and then the make and the model of the vehicle and stuff, so we can apply for that electric vehicle credit. And then it's going to ask for your signature. You can either draw your signature up here, or you can just type it out, um, whatever the case might be, right? So Jago, and then it's going to just ask you how your experience was with the tax packet, whether you're satisfied, unsatisfied, or very satisfied with it. Just please leave us some reviews, any questions or any comments that you may have. And then this is just going to let you know that if you skipped any sections of the tax packet because you didn't have the required information, you're going to have to go back and fill out the attachment. Did you skip anything? Yes or no? If you did, yes, just let us know. If you did no, then it's gonna not let you be able to. So, um, and then just know that if there's any sections in the tax packet you skip because you didn't have the required information, this reminder to go back and fill out before submitting. If you submit it, and contact us to adjust it, there will be a delay on your tax preparation, and there might be an update fee. And so at the end, you can either submit your tax packet, or if you still need some more time and try to recover the documents, you can always save this document, and you can have this document emailed to you, right? And then you can always you can have that the form your link yourself, or you can have it emailed to you. And so whenever you do have those documents and you need to go back, you can just go to your email, go to that link, and fill out the rest of your tax packet. But that's pretty much it. That's kind of the rundown of the tax packet. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, like I said, please reach out to info at 1099 Tax Pros, or at taxes at 1099 Tax Pros. Once again, we thank you for watching this video, and thank you for choosing 1099 Tax Pros for your tax purposes. And we look forward to helping serve you. Thank you.